The SBA has just provided me some much needed answers to some top questions and issues that everyone has been running into in the past week or so. So I felt the need to put this information out there as quickly as possible because I know this is going to help some people just be able to rest easy for their weekend and understand a little bit better what is going on here. So let's go into the questions that are answered in this video, and then we'll dive into each and every one of those more in depth, and I'll give context where context is due. So the first question is, many people are saying that they were denied that $10,000 EIDL advance all on one day last week. There seems to be this huge bulk of people who are all denied on a single day, and this has rightfully made a lot of people think, is this legitimate? How could we all be declined on the same day? Is there some kind of SBA issue here? Is there an error here? So we have some answers and context there. I've also seen floating around on many forums and just in the comments of my videos, people wondering if the clicking of the request more funds button on the EIDL portal is somehow connected to declines to EIDL advances. So the SBA has provided some more information there. Also, the December stimulus bill did outline that if you are denied for the EIDL advance, the SBA must provide information as to why you're denied. That way you know what you need to provide in order to get a reevaluation there. And I'm wondering how soon they'll provide those decline letters to this bulk of people who are all declined in seemingly a 24-hour period, when they can expect to receive those letters. That way they can get a reevaluation if a reevaluation is due. And then some people, many people really, are running into problems with the 4506T, the tax return request, and the IRS not having the tax return, or there being some issue with processing. And I'm wondering if there's anything that these groups can do for some kind of manual review, some kind of alternative way to prove that, hey, I'm a legitimate business here. All I need is an EIDL loan. What do I need to prove? Because there's a lot of people who have all the documentation, but there's just, the request simply is not going through properly. So we're going to cover that as well. Also, I have started a Patreon for those who want to support my kind of investigative journalism on this channel. If you appreciate it and you want to go ahead and join, that'll be linked in the description. Don't feel obligated, but there's a few people who have requested that I start something like that, so that's down in the description. So we're gonna do the questions and answers. Because I wanna get this out as quickly as possible, unfortunately I don't have time to edit everything on the side, so I'll try to explain everything as clearly as possible and enunciate all my words, so there's no issues there. So the first question, many people are saying that they were denied that $10,000 EIDL grant last week, all in one bulk, like one bulk amount of people. Hundreds of thousands of people seem to have been denied all in one spot. So I wanted to know why this happened and if there's anything that people should know in this case. And the answer that I received was on April 21st and 22nd, the SBA processed over 400,000 decline actions. So this did in fact happen. 400,000 applications were all declined in that 24-ish hour period. And they said these were mostly automated declines that were based on the applicant's responses to the targeted EIDL advance application questions. So things like, are you a US citizen? Were you delinquent on child support? Are you in ineligible business activity? Is the business located in a low-income community? Were your gross receipt reductions 30% or more? Or, just the basic criteria in order to receive this loan and be a part of the program. So they're saying most of those decline actions were because of that. Now, I suspect a lot of them are because of that low-income area requirement, because under the December stimulus bill, it outlined that they have to allow everyone to apply, even though they know whether you're going to be able to be eligible under the low-income community requirement or not. So the SBA knew all along that this is going to cause some issues because they're sending out invitations to people that they know are going to be declined, and then rightfully those people are like, you told me to apply, why am I not being accepted? So rightfully those people are angry about it. And then on the decline letter end, they said that they're updating decline letters to include new reevaluation instructions at the same time that they process that huge batch of declines. So the status changed to decline but didn't include the letter at the same time because they're updating that at the same time. And then rightfully that has frustrated a lot of people. And just, I mean, people have just dealt with so many issues with these programs. Not only are they nervous about the survival of their business, but then the programs themselves have so many issues that, the frustration is obviously building, and I'm extremely empathetic to just small business owner frustration at this point. So they said that they're correcting this now, and that applicants missing the decline letter will receive them by email by the end of next week. So you should be receiving that decline letter by around the 8th of May. And then from there, you're able to do the reevaluation. And they said you actually need to wait until you receive that letter to do the reevaluation. And the reason for that is you need to know the reason why you were declined. And so on the letter, it'll tell you why you're declined. It'll give you instructions on the reevaluation. And then you can provide documentation that counters whatever point that they are declining you for. So if they said you didn't show proper documentation on your 30% reduction in gross receipts, and if you did fit that criteria, you'd be able to send either bank statements or some kind of profit and loss sheet or something to prove like, hey, I did have that reduction, and then you will be able to receive that advance. So you can expect that by around the 8th of May as of right now. Now the next question, is the Request More Funds button in the EIDL loan portal somehow connected to EIDL advances? Now, I've seen this asked a lot, so I thought, this is worth asking the SBA and seeing what's up, even though they're kind of two separate systems. And to this, they said that there is no connection to the Request More Funds. It's kind of a different system, the Request More Funds for the EIDL loan and the $10,000 EIDL advance. There's no connection, but they're saying that that feature unfortunately came out at the same exact time or about the same time as the 400,000 decline notices were sent out. So people are trying to connect dots here. They're saying there's no connection at all between the two actions. Clicking on the blue button to request more funds does not cause the EIDL target advance application to be declined. It was purely coincidental that the new feature in the portal to request more loan funds went live and was utilized by some borrowers that also applied for the targeted EIDL advance but were declined in a completely separate action on the same day. The big batch of declines on the 21st and 22nd included a lot of targeted EIDL advance applications for businesses that applied even though they were not in a low-income community. And then they say that Congress required them to allow everyone to apply even if they aren't in a low-income community. And unfortunately, under the December stimulus bill, it's very, very defined as to who is in a low-income census tract. You can Google the revenue code if you want. It's Internal Revenue Code 45DE. It's very specific. I actually have videos breaking down the various criteria in there, and they're saying, unfortunately, the SBA doesn't have any flexibility as to who can be in a low-income community or not. I'm one of those people who my business is literally right next to a low-income community. I said this before, but I could literally pick up a rock in the parking lot of my business and throw it into a low-income community. And I've been sent screenshots from many people who are like, this is my house right here, and there's like a square around it, low-income community. So I just punched my desk. I'm so fired up about it. But yeah, it's an issue, but they're saying they unfortunately don't have any flexibility there, and there's no connection between the button and declines, which is a good thing to hear. Next question, the December stimulus bill outlined that all businesses need to receive some reason why they were declined. How long does this typically take, and will they receive that by email? So this was already kind of answered, and they're saying that all the decline notices from that big batch should happen again by May 8th, and then decline applications after that should happen pretty much immediately or within a couple days after you're declined in the future. So they're basically catching up on the big batch of applications that were all declined on one day. And then the last question we have is, some people are running into problems with the 4506T request, the tax return transcript request, and the IRS not having that tax return or some issue with the proof on that. So I want to know if there's anything that groups can do, that people can do for a manual review or some kind of alternative proof of legitimacy beyond just waiting and hoping that something changes. So the answer here is we request the tax transcript info from the IRS on all targeted EIDL advance applications before approval. This is a new thing, again, in the December stimulus bill. Under the CARES Act last year in March, when that was approved, they actually outlined that the SBA can't request this, and then there was a ton of fraud and everything's ruined because of these fraudsters. And in the December stimulus bill, they could now request whatever they want, so that's why we're having to send this in. And they say that in most cases this works, of course, for most cases, but even in these situations, an edge case of 1% means tens of thousands of businesses. So they said the IRS, if the IRS returns a no record found response for the transcript info, they will not automatically decline the application because now they're realizing how rampant this issue is. So instead, they're going to start checking the case file to see if they already have some kind of tax records or other documentation that validates the business as an eligible business and it was in operation before January 31st, 2020. And then their loan officers may also check into this a little bit further with some third-party services, maybe even Palantir, because, you know, connecting all the dots, another Palantir plug. But they may also ask businesses if they can provide prior year's business tax returns, which I actually know a few people who have done that already. They could request a certificate of good standing for the business with the secretary of your state's office. Business licenses or lease or utility statements or other forms of billing with the business's name just to prove that, hey, you are a legitimate business. So they're saying initially that they thought that the tax return, the tax transcript return would be enough, but they're realizing obviously that this isn't the case for everyone. So they've adjusted their processing and they're going to allow much more flexibility here. I'm especially excited because I've talked to a few people from Puerto Rico recently who they don't even have tax returns there. So of course, nothing's going to pop up. So the SBA will have an alternative use here. Same with people who have mailed in tax returns. They're simply not processed yet. And of course, there's nothing at the IRS. So now there's going to be a solution. If you're sitting in that spot, I'd recommend just calling in and saying, hey, I heard that this is the process. Is there anything we can do to get the ball rolling? I have all the proof that's needed. What do I need to do? So that's going to do it for today's investigative journalism. If you enjoyed this, make sure you like and subscribe. Check out the links in the description for various offers like free crypto, free stocks. You can join my Patreon. And I would just like to thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you have a profitable day.